Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I can understand the lunch was heavy and good, but still I don't expect such a lukewarm response from security professionals. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, that's better. At least you all should give us energy to us also. And really, I thank BW World for giving us an opportunity where all the security professionals we have gathered here to discuss some uh, contemporary issues. And with me is joining is first is Veena Gupta, whose Veena's name is. I think if I throw something on her, it'll be like I will not be able to cover in the complete session because she is founder of Seam Risk Solution Private Limited, founder of West NGO. She is author. Her latest book, which has been released, is The Protector, Honor of Safety app. She talks on YouTube, TEDx speaker, Google icon. She was represented. She was identified, or she was honored as a Google icon in the 2024, and popularly known as the Lady Bodyguard or the first lady security professionals of the country. So it is actually honor for all of us to be associated with her. And our next is Rishi, and he is joined the corporate after serving 20 years. Prior to that, he was in the Navy, and presently he is heading the security operations for Eros Group. Rishi has a total experience of 27 years in the security industry, and where he has got various certifications like Certified Corporate Security Management Studies, Fiscal Security for Security Practitioners, Risk Management and Business Continuity, and many more things. So he has got a vast experience in fiscal and electronic security both. And then we have Navneet Kaur, who is a dynamic business leader with more than 20 years of experience. She had been working in the industries like telecom, banking, security, and now background verification. She has also been working in industries like HCL, Reliance Communication, ICICI Bank, and Innovations Private Limited. Presently, she is Associated Vice President Sales at Authbridge, that is India's largest background verification company. So with this, so since morning we had been hearing about the physical security, electronic security, cyber security, and many more things. Now a time has come, let us start integrating both, and we must talk and discuss about these things also. So before I start, I would just like to tell you a small story of a coffee machine. We all love coffee. And generally on Monday mornings, we all understand after 2 lethargic days in the corporate of weekends, how Monday morning it looks like. The only thing we want to start is coffee before emails. That's what it happens. So one of the good company organization, I will just call it ABCD Corporation. I will not call ABCL Corporation. Some people might object it. So it is a ABCD Corporation. They on Monday morning, people were energetic, lively. They greeted everyone, and they all headed to the coffee machine, and they never knew that they were heading to a disaster. Every time they punched something to dispense cappuccino or something like that, they got a message, please pay 1 Bitcoin to restore coffee privileges. Your friendly hacker. And the panic set in. And especially those employees who had never participated in any security awareness training or program, they panicked the most, and they were more about the ransomware. The IT team rushed. They wanted to find out what has happened, and now there were the two aspects, cyber aspect and the physical side of the story. Cyber aspect, they started realizing that the smart coffee machine was connected to the Wi-Fi network. And one hacker, he got inside, he just used a common password, admin@123, and he could enter the system. He hacked all the machines in the building. Because machine was connected to IT server was connected to the access control system or the badge management system, he hacked that also. So now people were deprived of coffee over and above. They could not enter their meeting rooms, they could not enter their office spaces, more so ever, they could not even enter their server room. More panic. Now when it comes to the physical side of the aspect, security head, Mr. Dave, was furious. He didn't know what to do. People were not able to reach at their respective places. And he was telling, what? Some hacker has got inside through a coffee machine. I told, yes. And this is, we all are locked out because of this coffee machine. Told, yes. So this is the actually story that how a cyber attack can affect not only a physical security but electronic security also. Somehow they did some firefighting and they all got together. They switched off all the networking issues, reset the password and reset. But this is just the story. So with this story, if I want to learn three things, is my weakest security link might be my most beloved compliances or appliances or anything. Cyber and physical security are connected in a way that we could not ever think about these things. And third and most important thing, never underestimate the power of caffeine-driven motivation in security awareness. So with this, I just start. I am sure this is the basic way I have understood what is a physical and cyber security nexus. It refers to the deep interconnection between cyber security. It could be a digital system, networking, IoTs and all those things, and physical security. This could be the buildings, access control system, or many other aspects related to it. So a cyber attack on any access control system could unlock physical doors, and a physical breach in any of our, for example, server or something, can lead to the data theft, ransomware, and vice versa. So we need to evolve this threat landscape. So before I move to Veena for the first question, or I take her views, I just want to highlight 5 basic things which actually is troubling the security threats or the security domain related to cyber security and physical security. One is ransomware and cyber extortion. Second, in the IoT and smart building exploits, supply chain attacks, insider threats. Insider threats are more important. Like, for example, even of our vendor partners, if they are associated or they get associated with some unwanted elements in the society or the organization, they can enter in on any of our premises, if not physically, through digitally, and create havoc. And the unauthorized access and tailgating. So with these basics knowledge, we have already discussed and I spoken. Now, Veena, my question to you is, how has this convergence of IT information, that is information technology, and OT, that is operational technology, has increased vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure? Over to you.
Thank you, Colonel Kumar. And since evening, I think we've been hearing all this about AI, cyber attack, cyber security. So let's understand this cyber physical nexus first of all. What is the difference between IT and OT? So IT, when we talk about, we are talking about database, we are talking about digital, means cyber. Any network, any like software we're talking about. When it comes to OT, which is the operational devices, could be access control, could be any controller, could be machine, could be pump, could be any old way of system which controls the integration of any building. So way back in old days time, I think Gary is here and Colonel Sam is here. We come from old days time. So those days, these systems never meant to be, acha nahi, abhi young hai. Colonel Sam is saying, ठीक है, आज. So these systems never meant to be married together. Means they never meant to be integrated together because they come with their own legacy and they had never any protocol to integrate and put another device which is the security protocol. So it means when we have to add the security into old system, we have to add the another device which could be mattress, could be maybe another relay or something. So let me ask all of you, have you ever thought in your, like we have many professionals here, when we talk about any infrastructure, do you know how buildings comes up and how we design the risk management? Maybe Gary, you can answer this. When we do the security management or risk assessment, there is a building. Now who makes the building? A builder, an architect. Now in this process, who all are involved? Electrical consultant, fire consultant, security consultant, probably it was never there. I think maybe 1 or 2 companies, they hired the security consultant. It means security was never in their mind. So imagine one electrical consultant is designing your infrastructure, which is a very robust infrastructure, could be a fire alarm panel. Now second question, have you ever understood your fire alarm panel? We have I think next I have the head of the building. Okay. So typically when there's a fire alarm panel triggers or there's a default, you must know it's been controlled by a third party OEM. So the control of the software is with the OEM. It means they have the dongle, they have the software. So if in case, so someday your system is not working, so it means you have to call the OEM. They will come with their software, with their laptop. So who knows, this guy is coming to integrate your system, touching your system, and you have to give the access to that person, and he's touching and checking each and every device. God forbid this system is not repairable. Then what happens? Do you think the owner will change the entire system? No, they will never change. They will manage with the same smoke detector, same fire alarm system, having a integrated some extra device or some jugaad. As Gary said, हम लोग को काफ़ी सारे जुगाड़ आते हैं. We India is always first कि हम कुछ ना कुछ तिगड़मबाजी करके सिस्टम को चला देंगे. So imagine we are becoming so vulnerable where we are inviting the trouble within our house. So old days and nowadays, because security manager has become so comprehensive, you have to work under one roof. पहले क्या होता था? IT and OT, it's like two different departments. They're working in silos. They never had any integration. IT is separate and physical security is separate. Now think about it, a power grid. Imagine power grid, major responsibility is to provide the electricity. Because of the automation, if something gets wrong, it means the risk is what? To supply the power. Now to supply the power, that is the crucial vulnerability where they will do anything to run the power immediately. So उसके लिए जो भी उनके सामने आएगा, whatever solution they find, they just go for it. Now there's another example I want to put. There's a factory industrial plant is going on, so they're using a filter through an automatic machine to separate the poison and the chemical or a refinery water. Now what happens? In case the system has been hacked, then who's drinking what water? The poison water, we. So end of the day, the life of the people at risk, life of the, and then we are maybe, in case the electricity gone, then we are having no electricity at home. So when we talk about the personal life, we all know Twitter has been hacked recently. Microsoft at Bangalore airport, what happened? That we all suffered, we waited for, I think, hours and hours. So when we comes back to the vulnerability, I think every moment we are suffering and we are going through this vulnerability, one system hack, one system loophole, one mistake of the physical versus IT department, then we are in a soup, and then we face the same and I think we all remember 2010, net 2010, the first malware attack happened at that Iran factory, and everything, all the system has gone for 6. So the business continuity is very, very important. And I think end of the day, I would say that I take this system on a very layman's, I'm not a technical person, but I have learned security and systems this way only when I started my career, which are very basic fundamental logic. Ki IT and OT is it's a relationship. Whenever everything, when these two people are together, fine, the minute the third person comes in, right? So you know what happens, the disaster happens. So we have to be very careful. One mistakes from either of one department, though we are trying in this complex security management system or era or digital era where everything has to be integrated. Everything has to be on AI. Everything has to be on platform, irrespective the infrastructure it's supporting or not. Whether we have the old system which does not have the provision to even have any protocol of the security. SCADA, we always have a SCADA system as a hardware part, but SCADA can also be hacked. It's been hacked already, as I said, the first malware attack. So nothing is proof system, nothing is foolproof. We have to be very careful, and vulnerability is always there if we don't work under an integrated management system, which can be man and machine, IT versus OT. So I think, but what happens due to manpower restrictions? Now, due to the same strategy where IT and OT should integrate, everything comes on a security, CSOs. So everything comes under one department. So there's used to be 2 departments, now there's one department. Now one department and every management expect that he or the department should take care of the IT and the security also. Now, due to the manpower, now we all know, somebody mentioned that we don't have in-house manpower. It's the second party manpower, it's the embedded manpower. So imagine my software and CCTV surveillance being handled by a guard or somebody or a third party vendor who's been under the embedded payroll of somebody. So there's no parameter of the verification. There's no, again, I said like well-proof systems we are handling. So every second day we're stepping into vulnerability. So I think there's no end of getting into cyber nexus strategy. So I sum up with this.
Okay. Thank you. So Veena has highlighted three very important aspects related to these. One is the lack of security protocols, whether it is between the IT and OT or it be between the old and the new systems. Second thing, she has highlighted the vulnerabilities which do exist in our system and how they are affecting our day-to-day operations and the business continuity. And third is the integration, which is actually required, and if we don't do it, probably then we are heading for a more disaster. So if in a nutshell, in a one line, if I want to highlight this, I can say that it is in today's world, we need the firewall not only for our data, but for our doors also. So my next question to Rishi is that we had been talking about this integration, and now it is related to that. What challenges do you feel that organization face when integrating cyber and physical security manpower?
Good afternoon, everybody. So, physical security and cyber security are two domains, and if we plan to integrate them, then there would be a few challenges. The first challenge would be lack of coordination between two departments. Physical department is basically headed by facility department or physical security department, whereas cyber security is handled by IT department. So if we plan to integrate them, then there would be a disconnect between two departments. So any integration may lead to some departmental clashes between. Second issue would be the technological integration. I have seen old organizations which are working in India has a legacy system which are about 8-10 years old. And most of the old systems, they are not designed to adapt with cyber security. So it will attract a lot of budget to upgrade, either change the entire system. Third would be the data overload. Physical security has huge data bank in terms of the CCTV footages or access control, or there are many more. Likewise, cyber security has their own data. So once both are integrated, they may need a huge, they may need something to handle a huge amount of data. Next would be the training and skill part. As of now, we have very few security professionals who can handle both. So if we plan to integrate both departments, they need skill upgradation, training, and that would again attract budget for any organization to spend. Next would be the resources. We need people who can handle both departments simultaneously. A physical security professional cannot handle cyber security, and IT professional cannot handle physical security. They need a lot of training, they need a lot of upskilling, or they may need new manpower to replace them. Again, it will be an issue. And if after integration, there would be few challenges. One, the most evident is incident response. Cyber security responses cannot be handled by physical security professionals. Physical security responses cannot be handled by cyber security or IT professionals. So integration would attract a lot of budget as well as a lot of effort to put in by any organization. Thank you, sir.
So Rishi has brought out the challenges And three key takeaways which we all as a security professional need to work on these are: first thing is the lack of coordination, which is actually self-explanatory. Second is the technical integration. And third and most important is the training and skill. So because both are very important, a cyber breach can open physical doors and a physical breach can unlock digital vaults. So now, with these challenges in mind, Navneet, so can you please highlight that how can security teams break these traditional silos between physical and cyber security operations to create a unified approach?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Navneet. The question given to me, as against, what thoughts Rishi has just shared. So I'm a strong believer that, breaking silos between physical and cyber security is extremely important, citing the current scenario of security. So, multiple things are required to be done. So, right, starting from assessment, so one has to check, one has to identify the vulnerabilities of any infrastructure, across both physical security and cyber security. Both domains are to be covered, and then a unified security strategy has to be made. So one has to develop a comprehensive security strategy, and keeping in mind all the physical security policies and the cyber security framework. So this is very, very important. Cross-functional collaboration is required, the sooner the better. So one has to encourage this collaboration, one has to encourage all the communications related to security flowing into all domains of security, be it cyber, be it physical. And I believe that, executive leadership plays a very, very important role as far as, this communication flow is concerned. So we would want to have a buy-in from all the executive levels so that, this collaboration happens. Then a centralized SOC is very, very important to be made, Security Operations Center, and this should include, experts from both the domains, be it cyber, be it physical. So they have to jointly monitor, the cyber threats, check the vulnerabilities, detect any abnormalities, that are getting across, any sort of patterns that are coming across, and on real-time basis, and they have to react to it in a joint manner. Then common threat intelligence sharing. Unless and until the department is one, it is very difficult to have that. Unless and until there is an executive, intervention in between, it is very unlikely to happen. So implementation, and then, having a shared platform wherein, they can share the intelligence, they can detect certain patterns, and they respond collectively. So this is very, very important. So a SOC and a common intelligence platform is required. Besides this, standardized incident reporting plan. So one has to be absolutely clear so that there is no overlapping in between. So standardized plan has to be made that in case there is any cyber attack, then what actions, how manual intervention will, overplace or, or replace and take over at that point in time in case there is a cyber threat. So that has to be clearly, a flow chart has to be made, and, everybody should be completely aware of the responsibilities there. And then cross-training and skill development, as Colonel Vikram highlighted earlier also. So it is very, very important that we have our physical security guards. They should be trained so that, they have an assessment, they have an understanding of the cyber attacks, and they should know that, how to, at least respond to the same in case, it has happened as per the standard protocol that has been laid to them. And then, as I previously said, that executive buy-in is very, very important. So right from the CSO levels, the CSO is to be made responsible for handling both the verticals in a collective manner and to have this collaboration. Thank you.
Thanks, Navneet. So she has brought out some very important aspects that we all need to learn and implement at our site. One of the important things she has talked about is the strategy, coordination, and it is a collaboration and the cross-functional. So these things actually is going to ensure that we move towards in a positive direction. Intelligence sharing is one of the most important thing. We need to come out of our boardrooms or of our respective tables and we need to discuss whether it is with the operations, cyber security, physical security, or even into sharing with the normal day-to-day functional employees also will help us in developing intelligence and creating a framework so that we can work towards it. Most important thing she talked about is the risk assessment. So risk assessment we had already been doing. In fact, as a security professional, this is our ABCD or the bread and butter. Whenever we plan a security, we actually start with the risk assessment. But however, what we need to do here is, here we need to integrate this risk assessment between the security, physical security and cyber security. So we must map both digital and physical assets, including IT, data center, personal, facilities and everything. So once we are able to identify and categorize assets, then we need to conduct threat and vulnerability analysis. What is difference between our basic threat and vulnerability assessment analysis with this is that it has to be unified. So we need to identify cyber threats and physical risks. If we can integrate both this and work towards conducting unified threat and vulnerability analysis, we will be reaching closer to our expectation. Then implement a risk scoring system. We always do, we carry out some vulnerabilities, we give marks for impact and probability. And same thing we need to do this, but now we need to integrate cyber security also in physical security. So we are able to make a risk matrix. Then simulate and test security incidents. What in other words I can say is something like a mock drill where we will be able to identify risk and then we can simulate many exercises, something like ransomware scenarios, access breaches, disaster recovery tests and all those things. And last but not the least is the establish a continuous monitoring and response team oblique a framework. It is a centralized security operations center, just now what Navneet had said. So with this, before I come to the next question, I got just one line. I am reminded that today there is no need to just hack the network. You can just steal the in the access control badge of IT guy why he is busy tweeting about security. So my next question now is to Rishi. We have talked about the incidents management plan, which she has talked, Navneet had told that how we can implement or execute. So one of the important thing is incident response plan. So how you feel we should incident response plans be adopted to handle threats that impact both cyber and physical domain simultaneously?
So, Navneet likely said, the incident response in cyber and physical security after integration, in my opinion, would be really difficult. Because first thing would be the integration of cyber and physical security systems. So the responsibility part would be missing. Initially, both teams are not upskilled, they are not well aware of the vulnerabilities or the threats or attacks or risks about each other. Physical security professionals are mainly on-site incident handling teams, whereas the IT or cyber teams are mostly in the cyber attacks. So incident response plans, I mean IRPs, need to be changed or to be upgraded in a way that responsibility part doesn't miss out. Second would be there is a suggestion to develop a centralized incident response, monitoring system. So once upgraded IRPs are integrated or inducted into the system, we can have a incident response monitoring system, whereas a better communication between both teams to handle the incidents in real time. a unified communication, because since both comes from two different departments, initial clashes would be there, better collaborative efforts are required. And I have seen a few companies have already introduced CISO, whereas I'm working as CSO, but few companies has already introduced CISO. So once CISO is handling both departments, it would be easier for a department to handle incidents in real time. A scenario-based training or mock drills like we do in fire and security departments. A scenario-based trainings or training programs need to be developed to collaborate between both departments. Tabletop training programs need to be developed. A hybrid response framework need to be implemented. We have IRPs where physical security has their own incident reporting or incident handling systems, and cyber IT department has their own cyber attack incident reporting or handling systems. So a hybrid plan need to be developed to for a better integrated cyber and physical security integration. A simulator training, I believe a simulator training will play a vital role to collaborate between both departments, since physical security people would know how cyber attacks are being done, and cyber security people would understand how physical incidents are handled and reported. Legal and compliance would play a very, it's a big thing where any incident would attract loss of reputation, loss of human life, or loss of data, which is gold these days, or a loss of other things. So any incident would, wherever there is a legal or compliance requirement, a framework has to be designed to assist legal and compliance as well. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Rishi, for touching a very, very sensitive topic and subject, and bringing out a very important aspect is the integration of two teams seems to be difficult as of now, because we have started talking about integration of fiscal and cyber security. It's now only. However, there are many organizations, people have started moving up in the ladder. And so important thing about to understand is this, they are the two different teams and responsibility has to be certain that who is responsible for what. And another important difference, understanding the difference between CISO and CSO, these two things, if we add with the tabletop exercises of the mock drill, probably we will be having, moving more closer to the solution. So we need to discuss about two things. One is the incident response. Second is the resilience. So if I just want to highlight the difference between two is, incident response is something like fixing the leak, and resilience is working, making sure that the plumbing never breaks again. So if we can understand these two basic things, probably we will be able to handle these situations better. Now as we are moving more towards the end of our discussion, so Navneet, my question to is, now you have seen there are various challenges are there, how can we mitigate, and what are the challenges integrating these both things. So can you please explain or just think it over and discuss what are the best strategies to build a resilience against cyber physical attacks in a critical industries. It could be IT sector, energy, healthcare, transportation, because you have got a very vast experience in handling these kind of properties or the facilities in your 20 years of career.
So right, you're absolutely right. I do not have such experience, but then yes, as a third-party viewer, I can definitely share certain strategies that come into my mind as far as building resilience in against the cyber security and against the physical security attacks are concerned. So the companies needs to adopt a zero tolerance policy, a zero trust security model. So be it a blue-collared employee or be it a C-suite employee, the security protocol has to be followed by everyone in the company, and it has to be strictly adopted by the companies. So enforce strict access controls, the IT systems, the physical infrastructure, and continuous or at a certain frequency, if not monthly, then at least fortnightly, the access controls have to be checked. They have to be modified wherever required, in case any employee has left, in case any employee is on leave, or has whatever. So those users are to be taken out, the devices are to be rechecked, the facility access has to be rechecked. So this is a regular exercise that every company is required to do. And then integrate the cyber and physical security operations, as I previously answered in my last question, that it is very important to establish a unified report, a unified security SOC, security operations platform, wherein the physical threats, the unauthorized access, the sensor tampering, or be it IT threats like ransomware, so that all can be tackled, can be discussed, can be developed, and a redundant and isolated backup system can be developed there. Besides this, a cross-domain, training, skills development, and then crisis response management is very, very important. And then, one has to train the IT and the security team both, that whenever there is a attack, be it a cyber attack or a physical, so who has to perform what? So that this has to be clearly laid down. Then comes my topic, which is background verification. So I strongly feel that, whenever we are giving any access to our infrastructure to anybody, be it vendors, be it employees, and not only infrastructure, if we are giving an access to our data, our clients, or, our infra, it is very, very important to do proactive background verification of employees. For a simple blue-collar employee, a normal criminal check or a NID test can be done, wherein we can validate the documents that he or she is submitting, whether the registrations, that are being submitted for a certain profile, which are sensitive in nature, are actually true, and whether the education and the employment or the experience that has been shared with the HRs of the company to onboard that particular individual, that has been validated, that are true. And not only for these levels, a blue-collared or a gray-collared or a white-collared level, it is very important that we do a C-suite verification, the CSOs, the CEOs. So there has been a data, which clearly dictates that, 24% of the frauds are happening through these levels. People who are the key decision makers in companies, people who are holding big profiles. So it is very, very important to have their reference checks and, a discrete due diligence conducted on these people too. And also, in case of any mergers and acquisitions, whosoever you are getting on the board, whosoever you are merging with, that company needs to be verified beforehand. The directors needs to be verified beforehand. So background verification in times to come, as it is, has become a mandate and a compliance to comply with. So it is sooner the better that we start doing it and refrain ourselves from any sort of threats. Thank you.
Thanks, Navneet. You have touched a very, very important topic, very sensitive, but very, very neglected in most of the corporates nowadays. It is the background verification. I am reminded of an incident around 1.5 years back, that there was a theft in one of the financial institute in Pune, where at a short notice I had to rush in there. And when I investigated, I could find out the involvement of one particular individual who belonged to a vendor, and he had the access 24-hour system, and he was at a senior position, even though he was that is senior manager from the vendor role. And later, when we further investigated, he was already running at three different cases of theft and robbery against his name in the Maharashtra itself. And he was working in the same state, and people were not even aware, even though the organization, the vendor who had provided, he had presented is the police verification that yes, everything is neat and clean. So when I talk about the background verification, this is how, whether it is a wrong person entering in our system, whether it is through a IT system or a physical security system, he or she can create the havoc. Second thing important is the zero tolerance. which will surely we will be heading towards as we move more towards the mock drill and the simulator training and all. And yes, audits, regular audits are required to be done. I can carry out multiple tasks. I can take multiple SOPs. I can do the multiple drills. But unless I try to carry out any test within ourselves by audits, we will not come to know the internal threats and the vulnerabilities which might be exploited by our adversaries to cause damage to our assets. So with this, we are almost heading towards the end of our, and before actually I close, we have still a lot of time left, but will not take you much time. Now, Veena, I would request you to do the honors that what are the key takeaways which we had been discussing in last 30 minutes or so while for implementing a unified command and control system or the unified approach towards physical and cyber security.
Thank you, Colonel Saab. So all the, I think, answers has been given by both the panelists. So when we talk about united or together threat management or controlling the strategy when it comes to cyber and physical, I think we have to we have to keep a holistic security management approach. It's not between IT and OT integration. It has to be between the business owner or the top management. So what happens, like, we had made these strategies. You were talking about the training, incident reports, we have talked about the zero trust policy, and we have not discussed, though it's basically by default that, defense mechanism, we should have multi-layer authentication, etc. But think about it, where the fund comes from the top management. So everything we do, the one question arises, where are the funds? Are we approachable towards the management? Does our CISO or CSO has a right approach, holistic approach, putting up the pen and paper and saying, this is my yearly budget, I need to spend on training. So what happens? My front warrior, the first parameter is are my security guard. And imagine I have made the SOPs, laid out all the threat management, I have all the risk management, BC and everything, BCP, business continuity plan, everything in place. What happens? My first incident takes place when we have our first warrior, which is the guard. Now, I'll give you a very latest example, nowadays big infrastructures, as I was talking about, when we enter into a building, any enterprising, take over the building, how many times do we talk about the funds to our management? Look, this infrastructure does not match my requirement. Having said, like, my old system, which is the fire alarm system, like, imagine a building bani 3 saal pehle, uski specification ban gayi, that is also specifically to the OEM. So if I am the security, if I am the consultant, I will put all the OEMs brand into that BOQ, which is maybe relevance to my known vendor or something. But when it comes to taking over the security from A to B, I find that system has been changed. From system 4, it's become 8, window 8 has become 10 and 11. There are that gap. So have you ever thought, so I would say that we should always do the back-to-back security management system. Like, audit of the security existing management system, which has been taken place 3 years ago when the building was in place. So when you take over any building as a business to run, I think we need to do the reverse audit of that piece of paper which you got in terms of the how many cameras are there, how many NVRs are there. Now NVR is maybe in somewhere in different country, and I have my robotic and all these kind of aggressive and all kind of system in place. I'm talking about all the softwares and all, but who's handling it? I have no clue. So the first thing I think CSO and CISO, they should do, take the charge of the infrastructure, SOPs, make enhanced SOPs relevant to the day-to-day routine of whatever that operational head responsibility is. And the guard needs to be trained. As I was mentioning to you, if a female, like we are talking about DP, all these kind of acts. Now the guard has been given the instruction to click the picture of a female at the visitor management entry. I mean, recently when I was traveling, it's a very big enterprising. It got 7 tiers of security. So first, when you enter, you have a security guard, and they have a latest, I think it's the SOPs, that they will click your picture through the iPad. I have refused. So when as a female, I refuse, maybe I fear of losing my data, I don't want to get clicked. So there's a conflict management, there's a fight. Now he has to call to his boss, which is the guarding company. The guarding company has to call the IT department. IT department has to call the authorized manager who has like controlling all these things. He is not available there. So think about how many layers we waste time. So I think practically we have to work on the right strategy, right SOPs, and have a dare to come across and put the paper and pen, look, this is my budget for a yearly training awareness program, whether it's a second party vendor, which is a guard, we neglect the guards. If I'm talking about training, who's going to give the money? Whether we put these bills on the guarding company, हम बोलते हैं कि जी अपने guards को आप train करके भेज दो, but the money, हम money नहीं spend करेंगे. This is my infrastructure. I'm not giving money for the training. So I think we have to work in a holistic manner together. Forget about IT and OT. This is my infrastructure. This is my premises. This is my people. This is my visitor management, and these are my guards. So they need to be trained. Funding is the crisis. So when we talk about threat management, we talk about risk management, we talk about business continuity, I think we should put a big document which requires lots of funds. So for me, I think funds is a major risk factor, which as a CSO and CISO or security head, we need to cover. So I sum up with this.
Yeah, thanks, Veena. So you had given a lot of points and very, very relevant, and we need to carry all these things. If I ask you one question in one line, if you want to just sum up, what is your most important thing which you have learned today?
I think prevention. That's it.
Okay, excellent. I think rather than one sentence, one word, the gist of it has come. So Rishi, if I give you an opportunity to just summarize it one line or so, what will you be your takeaway?
Sir, for physical and cyber security integration, we need funds, we need that holistic approach, that and upskilling, upgrading, updating, and a lot of effort to come to a point where physical and cyber security work in an integrated manner.
Okay, integration. So integration. So the prevention, integration. Navneet, what are your views on this?
I think you have already stolen my word, so it was integration again, but then, I will talk about my business, so background verification is the key.
Yes, I realize, actually I have realized it last 8 to 10 years of my corporate life, that background verification is very important, but one of the most neglected, which I already told. So at least in last 40-45 minutes or so, I have learned a lot of things. And some of the points, key takeaways, I am just summarizing it for all of us so that we can carry on from here and see how best we can benefit our organization is integrated security operations centers are required to integrate physical and cyber security, zero trust architecture, IoT and OT security. These we have to implement strict security controls on these both things, cross-training of security teams, and risk-based security approach. That is, we need to prioritize assets and vulnerabilities across both cyber and physical domains. So before I just close our discussion, if anybody would like to add on something to this, or if someone would like to ask any question, or he or she is welcome. I know after a hectic day, it's very difficult to ask question or even. So no one. So thank you. So I will just say that we spend millions of money in ensuring cyber security, and then we get hacked. You know why? Because one individual, he has written the Wi-Fi password on a sticky note. And actually this happens, this actually highlights the importance of training. So this cyber and physical nexus is not a future concern. It is current and evolving challenge, and we need to work, collaborate with all the stakeholders to ensure that we move towards making our organization more safer and secure place. Thank you all of you for tolerating us for last 45 minutes. And yes, to all my panelists for giving me the company and bringing us on the same platform. Thank you.